Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. Good evening for this very important conversation and lecture. We're standing in the days before Hanukkah. Hanukkah, the Jewish holiday, which we're going to be celebrating Sunday evening, marks the victory of few over many, the small in number, who had this incredible, waged a valiant war of bravery and sacrifice in order to protect their way of life, protect their heritage, protect their mitzvahs, their culture, their lives and their families, their temple. And I think sometimes when it comes to Jewish holidays, we tend to think of them as historical events, things that happened thousands of years ago. They become legends, myths, Maccabees, Judah, right? But distant from us. I grew up with these stories, and of course they played such a central role in my life, but they still felt very far away. Growing up in New York City, war is something that just didn't seem to be in our backyard, at least until now. And recently I was lucky enough to spend a couple of days in the Holy Land, guided by some of the people that you're going to be meeting this evening, some of their family members. And personally, this was a transformative experience for me, because what I saw there was that these warriors, these heroes, these people that have lived in this legend and myth in my mind all my life are actually not people that exist in the history books only. They're very much alive, and they're very much present, and they're fighting those same wars, fighting for those same causes, the same people, the same land, putting their life on the line, just as Judah Maccabee did thousands of years ago. They are doing the same. The story of Hanukkah, the story of Jewish survival, the story of Jewish strength and bravery and courage is happening right now. It's not only the Hanukkah story of then, it's the Hanukkah story of today. So today, it is my distinct privilege to introduce to you a personal friend of mine, someone who's done so much for myself and for our community and is changing the landscape of Jewish life in the Holy Land. And I'm quite sure it's something that we're going to see. The transformation that he's been achieving there is something that's going to be spilling over into the diaspora in the very near future. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully we'll be hearing about that very soon. But please give a very warm welcome to Ravid Elfasi.
Good evening, everyone. We need the mic, right? I would rather do it without the mic, but I'll probably need it. Good to see you, Michelle. Michelle hosts us here this time. Thank you very much. And Paula, that takes care of us for years. Okay, I'm excited, but I'm here to tell a story. Look, I came to New York after 2 years and 2 months fighting. Just finished my service in the 7th of December. Means after 2 years and 2 months, right? 7th of October, I went back to be almost like regular army. And then last Sunday, that's it. I stopped my service and came here. And the reason I came here to Toronto and to here was to tell the story of this war, because there's so many lies and there's so many people who thinks they understand. Funny, on the way here in the morning, whatever Muslim Uber driver looking at us and is like, you know that you're lying to yourself. You know that you're lying to yourself. And then Nader asked him, what country are you from originally? Why did you leave your country? He's like, I had to leave. Of course you had to leave, but why? He's like, keep telling us that we are lying to ourselves. And he said some very classic anti-Israeli things, and we listened, and then we, of course, told him the truth. I feel like people need to understand what's going on, and they're good questions. Paula's daughter, Maya, once asked me several very hard questions. And I had to think. I had to think deep into the things, and this is what I want to share with you. What I'm going to tell you today, this lecture is about, just let me put my things aside. I'm not a doctor in university or something, I'm just me, a soldier. I'm a father. I have twins, 5 years old. They're sick now at home, they're girls. and 7 years old. They're with my wife and parents help sometimes at home. And we felt like it's important enough to come here and tell this. And also, we're here for a project that we'll talk about it in the end, right? We want Jews to be able to defend themselves by themselves. That's what we are doing. The whole day we're meeting people for that. But first I want to tell you the story of me and the war. I hope it won't be boring. I'm going to tell you some details. I think that in order to be able to explain people and to ourselves the important things, we have to be good in the details and some facts. But I promise that after the facts at the beginning, I'll give you some stories from my perspective as a soldier, as a father. The things that you will see here, the photos that you will see here, most of it, 95% of it, I filmed with my own phone. This phone that's right here was with me the whole war. And every time I had a chance, every time I saw something special, something that I wanted to remember, I lower my gun, took the phone, took a photo too, and then again back to the weapon, because we were usually holding weapons in two hands. My guy Nader sits here next to me. He was with me in the most dramatic times of the war, on October 7th and after. 3 October 7th, we were there, right? 3 October 7th, right? So 1st October 7th, 24, 25, we were there together in Gaza. And he will help me here too with the memories, because some things are tough. Okay, we should begin, right? Okay, let's go. All right, so let's go for the first thing, right? First of all, I want to apologize. In 2007, I was here in New York. I came from Toronto. I was sent by the FIDF, the Friends of the IDF. I was a soldier, an active commander. I was injured in Nablus, in the West Bank, in a serious fight. And they sent me to Hanukkah delegation of FIDF. Hanukkah, right now, right? And I came to Toronto and to New York as a soldier with uniform. And I told the stories of what's going on in Gaza. Back then we were fighting in Gaza. We're trying to rescue Gilad Shalit. And we had operations in the West Bank. I was injured there. And when I spoke in Toronto, back in the time in 2007, in Toronto was the biggest concentration of Holocaust survivors alive, right? And I'm talking here to the young generation, and to all of us. If you know Holocaust survivors that still live, go and talk to them, because I think in 10 years from now, it's all memories and videos. So I had a chance. I spoke like as a soldier with uniform. Later on, I did the same here in New York City. And when I went off the stage in Toronto, and it happened to me also here in New York, this old lady sitting on a wheelchair, she's a Holocaust survivor, she looked in my eyes and she told me, I was in the Holocaust, and I would never imagine I'd see a Jewish soldier, an Israeli soldier, with uniform of the country of Israel. Now I see you, I have hope. And that was my first visit, right? After that, I came to New York. And since then, I promised people that I met in New York, in Chicago, in Toronto, I told them never again. I promise. I'm there to make sure that Jews will never be taken because they're Jewish. That we will never let it happen again. And people trusted me and cheered me. And then I failed. Me and the rest of the army. On October 7, we failed. And we have to admit and apologize. We have many excuses. I will tell you all the details about how the strongest army in the Middle East failed. There's specific details. You are very interested. A kid, I talked to you a couple of days ago. You are in the details. So look, I will give you the details. And preparing to this, I met all the important people. In my perspective, I drove all the way from my home from Jerusalem to Tiberias. It's North Israel. And I sat with Chaim Cohen, who is the brigadier, the brigade commander of the northern Gaza. Under his shift on October 7th, 107 soldiers were burnt and died, and many, many civilians, hundreds of civilians killed in the kibbutzim in Sderot. He was the commander in charge, and he resigned from the army. Hi, Joe. One of the most interesting people I met here. So Chaim Cohen resigned from the army, taking responsibility for all the dead people under his shift. And as a civilian, me and him were sitting and had hummus in Tveria a week ago. And I asked him, Chaim, what happened? I'm going to tell the people in New York, I'm going to tell the people in Americas what happened. Tell me, you were there. And he said, I failed. Let me tell you what happened. So what I'm telling you is first based on my perspective, and two, about what the Northern Brigade did, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry because as a soldier, I'm not an active soldier, I'm reservist. But I trained, me and this guy, we trained soldiers for 10 years, since 2014, since we were fighting in Gaza, I don't know, fifth time maybe. And we were sure that Gaza is not our problem. We were training the last 4 years before October 7th, we were training against Lebanon. Our scenario was fighting in Lebanon, right? That's why we trained. We thought those people, those flip-flops, terrorists that have barely pistols, that's not a threat for us. So what happened to us there? And this is something we all should think about. First of all, arrogancy. We were arrogant. First of all, we were arrogant. We thought it can never happen to us. We told ourselves stories that they're afraid, that the money that we give them, the millions of dollars in those suitcases, that nothing will happen. We were sure that they cannot breach the fence. We built a fence that cost 3 billion shekels, Shaon Chol, the clock, sand clock, we call it. Because they cannot dig tunnels under, because we had sensors 70 meters in the ground. We were sure that it cannot happen. Arrogancy, this is one. And this is how I go to details, I promised you details. How arrogancy looks like in the intelligence world. What is the job of the intelligence? We have a very strong intelligence. Think that when we started the Rising Lion in Iran, we killed in the first hour the most important leaders of the Air Force, the nuclear scientists. We knew exactly how to kill Hassan Nasrallah in his bunker. We knew where he is, the beeper. What was the problem with the intelligence in Gaza? How we could be so precise in Lebanon, Syria, and Iran, but in Gaza, not. And this is what happened to us. And again, it's a lesson for all of us. What is the job of the intelligence? The intelligence job is to tell us what are the capabilities, what are the abilities of the enemy, what he can do to us, how many terrorists, what weapons they have, what tunnels they use, missiles, rockets, weapons, what are the capabilities of the enemy, what he can do. What the intelligence did, instead of telling us what the enemy can do, what they told us, what the enemy wants to do. That's the biggest problem. The intelligence kept telling us, Hamas, yes, they have weapons, but they will never want to kill us because they get money. We saw that they built a model of a village, yeah, like a kibbutz. They built a kibbutz model in the middle of Gaza. Me and others would cross there with our Humvees after we went into Gaza. They built a model of a kibbutz. And for 1 year, they kept training on taking this kibbutz and kidnapping people. And our intelligence, instead of telling us they have the ability to take over a kibbutz, they said they are so afraid that they're showing off like they can take a kibbutz, so their people, the Palestinians in Gaza, will respect them. You understand the twist mind of this intelligence move? You see them practice. Instead of making your kibbutzes stronger, you tell they're too afraid. And in the same time, the IDF and the police told the kibbutzes, bring us back your long weapons. You're not allowed to hold them at home because of crime and all kind of a Bedouin threat, whatever. So this is the intelligence of October. Arrogancy and also this intelligence problem. Just think about what's going on here in the diaspora, because one of the things we do here, we're going around America and in Europe, and some people keep telling themselves, it will never happen to me. Yeah, there's protesters, but maybe they won't hurt me if I'll be nice. Maybe if I'll just keep being quiet. That's the same thing. We were sure that they weren't afraid. And at the same time, they got to such a great power. Think about what's going on now in Europe, right? Think about Brussels and Paris. People keep telling themselves they won't do it. They don't want to do it. But military-wise, the terrorists of Brussels and Paris have so much power. If they make a decision, it's a matter of days until they do massacre. The same thing happened to us before October 7th. And this is something that I realized as an educator, we were not united. This is October 6th, I would say 5th. We were not united. Unity is the Jewish power. Now it sounds so flat, I don't want to say rabbi and so, yeah, just kidding. Yeah, I know. Unity is what holds us together, and I'm not kidding. When the evil forces, when anti-Semitism feels that we are not united, then they get the ideas. Hamas did this attack when Jews in Israel told each other, we are not going to have the same country, Judea and Israel. When people stood in the city center and said, we're not going to go to the army, pilots, Sayeret Matkal guys, special forces, regular people. They said, I'm not going to go if politics, Bibi this, Bibi that, who cares? And when they feel it, when the evil forces feel it, they go. And Hamas went to this attack without letting Iran know, right? And that's one of the miracles that happened to us, right? We paid a very low price compared to what could happen to us, because if Iran will have the cue and they will attack us from Lebanon, Syria, West Bank, Gaza, Iran, all together, we probably won't be standing here today, right? So Hamas felt this, used that time, and attacked. And what happened the day after? That's crazy. The rest of the world is cheering against Israel, celebrating this massacre of Jews. I remember those protests here in New York. People with gliders, remember, with the parachutes. The people who, you know that those parachutes, there are 3 terrorists who landed in Kfar Aza, and they massacred old lady and her husband. They burned them, so they didn't find their bodies. They were sure that they're hostages. Just about 4 or 5 months after, they found a fraction of a bone, and that's how they realized that she was burnt. So those people who flew with glider to burn old people in their houses, and they saw them, they shot them first and then burnt them, the rest of the world celebrated it. Why? Because when we are not united, when we are not strong, when we are weak, evil forces rise. And this is something we all have to understand. If you guys want to prevent the next disaster, you have to be strong. How Jews can be strong? In many ways, physically, mentally, financially. People respect that in many ways. But when the enemy, when our evil forces, the evil forces that around us feel that we are not united and weak, they go out. Right? This is something very important. Bueno, Sheikh? That's me on October 6th with my girls in the Jordan River. That's my Laila, 6 years old. This is how naive we were the day before the attack. Okay? All of the friends of my wife, and we're thinking to ourselves, let's stay another night. You know, October 6th, those guys, hippie Indian music players, like my wife, she's also like that. They're like, hey, let's stay another day on the Jordan River camping. And I was like, I have a feeling we need to go back tonight, I told my wife. She said, why? I said, that's something, let's go back for Friday, just this. And she said, okay. And we went out, came back home, and then 6 a.m., 6:20, we unpacked the car, thanks God, because then we had enough room in the car to put all the military gear in the morning. And then 6:29, the attack begins. 6:30, I get the first phone call from my commander, Erez Eshel, and he tells me there's a war. And I was like, I'm still there, right? In my mind, right? And I was like, Erez, he's always crazy. He's always calling you with, there's a war. And like, yeah. I took my car. I live in the Judea Hills. I drove to the edge of the Moshav, it's a hill, and I saw rockets flying from Gaza to Tel Aviv because I see all the coastline. I see this chaotic thing. I'm standing there with my underwear, no shirt. I'm calling all the commanders of the unit, telling them there's a war, come now. 9 o'clock, you stand with your gear. Some of them got much earlier. Then I hanged out. I called the rabbi, Rav Micha. He's the manager of a yeshiva next to Gaza. I know him since I'm a kid. He knows them. And he answers. 6:45, he answers. And I tell him, Micha, we're coming to your place tonight to sleep because I need 100 people need to sleep somewhere. And he said, okay, sababa. And he hangs up. That's it. And that's how my war starts. I went back home. There's sirens. We don't have a shelter at home because we live in Judea Hills. We don't have shelter in the kindergarten because we never got hit by rockets. My neighbor, Nissim, is helping me with the girls. He put them in a shelter. I'm loading the car and I'm driving towards Gaza. Just before I go, I look in Nissim's eyes. He's my neighbor. And I'm telling him, I don't know what's going on. Take care of my family. He looks at me and he says, your girls are safe. Go. And I go. And I drive. October 7th. Let's understand what were the goals and dots of the Hamas. בוא נלך, קדימה. Details, okay? I told you some details. Okay? There's my story as a father who leaves his family, but there's the story that I want you to understand. What Hamas wanted to achieve in October 7th. You all see it? You guys see? Right. One, release Hamas prisoners. You need to understand, and this is something you all have to understand, because your government, I don't know if now Trump do that, but Biden for sure, is paying the UN. Not anymore? I don't know. I'm not that into American politics. Now look, the UN pays the PA, Palestinian Authority. The Palestinian Authority pays the terrorists in our jail by the number of Jews they killed. Okay, for example, 4,000 shekels per murder. Fogel family, they killed 5 people. The 2 murderers get 20,000 shekels a month from the PA, Palestinian authorities. I don't know, it's a fact. It's not my opinion, right? And one of the things we try hard to do as a government is to stop the funding of those terrorists. They pay them by the number of Jews they killed. This is like life pension if you kill a Jew. All right, but what it helps me if I'm in jail, a terrorist says, right? So there is a deal between a terrorist and his operators. And the deal is this. I will go to attack and kill Jews. If I'm dead, if they kill me on the way, I become Shahid. 72 versions, all that. My family gets money, big celebration in the sky, good. But if I'm alive and the IDF captures me, I'm going to sit in jail for life. Or, you tell me, or what happens with me? Get exchanged for hostages. So the Hamas and all the terror organizations in Israel, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, they know they have people in jail, and in order to maintain them, to recruit more terrorists, they have to fulfill the deal. So what do? They only try to kidnap people because they know that how many terrorists we released in the Shalit deal? Remember, Paula? 1,010, yeah. 1,010. They know that it's just a matter of time until they go out from jails over the most craziest murder and rape cases that we have in Israel. So first of all, the first mission of Hamas on October 7th was release the prisoners. And that's why the most elite forces of Hamas worked on kidnapping Jews. And who blames, right? The UN, who supports this. We just keep giving them more and more hostage terrorists for each hostage. That's our reality. We're Jews. We can't let them just be there, right? Second thing, trigger a regional front against Israel, right? A war against Israel. We talked about it before. They thought that their act will ignite a war in the Middle East, Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Palestinian Arabs in Israel and Iran, right? And it didn't happen, thanks God. And the third thing is worldwide recognition of Palestinian state. They still try to achieve it now. They thought that if they will have enough time and enough power, the world eventually will recognize Palestinian state. So this is the goals of Hamas. There are some other things, but this is the main thing. Okay, let's go. That's us, 11 o'clock, after all the commanders and the soldiers came. This guy here is Nader, my guy here. This guy, Eli, he came from Akko. Akko is the Lebanon's border. I called him, I told him, Eli, I need you here with me. He said, I'm in Akko, it's about 2.5 hours drive, 1:30. That it took him 1 hour and a half, right? He was 180 kilometers per hour south, driving crazy. And this is us on the way. This is Tiny, one of the commanders. This is us on the way to war. And this is a very serious moment because we've seen the videos. We understood that we're talking about hundreds of terrorists. We heard about friends who died already, 11 o'clock. Some friends already died. But we were happy. And this is something I want you to know. In the movies, when people go to war, they have always serious faces and sad faces or like tough faces. When Jews go to war, when you know that you were trained for years and you're ready and your brothers are next to you, some of them you know for a long time. Some of them are soldiers. Some of them are not Jewish. Nader, my guy here, is Druze. And he fights with me on the way here. I saw a pro-Palestinian protest. You saw it? Who was the guy in the front? Haredi, a religious ultra-Orthodox. I took a photo of it. Yeah, and they took it out. It's funny. This guy is not Jewish, and he's willing to die for him too, right? Because Israel is their home too, right? So this is my guys, and we are happy because we are together. And maybe we won't come back. We don't know what's going on at the end of this day, but we're driving to Gaza. After many hours in the Gaza envelope, this is the first photo I took. Serious. I took another photo outside. There's things I don't want to expose here, death and destruction. But this photo I took with my phone symbolizes for me it took me, it's like coins falling. I understood slowly what's going on that day. This is a kitchen in Kfar Aza. Right? There is a military procedure called Kapak, a group of command. I did it many times before, in houses in Lebanon in 2006, in the houses in the West Bank in the early 2000s. I did it in Gaza in 3 operations. This is the first time of my life I do a command group in a Jewish house. And there was a family on the right side. There was a refrigerator with the photos of the kids. And this cute giraffe, you see it here? And all those cute things. You know that this is a family house. And on my back, there is a shower with holes and blood on the floor. And the group of commanders sit on a broken table with a map of the kibbutz and trying to see how they fight out the terrorists from a kibbutz. What? I never thought in my life I would do something like that. Never. And then we there proceed and got to this place. Who knows what it is? It's a city and it's a burning building. Where is it, you know? Sderot. And what is burning there?
Police station.
The police station.
I was just there
Now, yeah,
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
I went to, yeah.
So we were there, right? That's again my guys here. Nader, Eden, Neumann, all the team. And we stand there and we don't believe for what our eyes sees. What we saw, תריצי אחד קדימה, is a military tank. This is the Merkava Type 4, one of the best tanks in the world. And the guy who operates it, Benny Aaron is the commander of 401st Brigade. He's one of the most brave soldiers and officers, right? He runs the whole brigade, the strongest tank brigade in the world, Merkava Type 4. And that's why he made the decision. He had to be the guy who shoot into a police station in Israel, right? You don't let just a tank operator. He's the best tank commander in the IDF. He also electronic music DJ. You could find him on Spotify. I love him a lot. Yeah, but he's really impressive person. And he got the order by my commander, the division commander, and he took the shot into the police station. And then we see that, and understanding that this is a different situation. That's it. We are in a different war, okay? Seeing this house in Kfar Aza with the cute things of the kids remind me of my daughters. Seeing an Israeli tank shooting an Israeli police station in an Israeli city because everybody died there. Only terrorists remained. That's something I could never forget. Again, I took those photos with my phone and went back to. After that, there was the sirens, bombs fell next to us, we had to take cover. Crazy. But those moments, I will take with me forever. בוא נמשיך? Okay. Just a quick explanation about what happened to us on October 7th. Okay, you guys good with the details? I don't want to talk too much about it. Okay, how Hamas took us. Okay, I want to draw it for a second and then where's the, I have it here. All right. Just to explain you, all right? Let's do this. I'm a yeshiva boy, so I always have to do this. All right, good. So, let's say this is Gaza, okay? Let's say this is Gaza. Very schematic, okay? Good. This is, you guys know, this is Jabalia, Bet Hanun, Bet Laia, El Atatra, all right? And this is Gaza City, right here, okay? This is Netzarim Corridor, we'll talk about it later. And Rafah is here. What is here? Very important. This is Khan Yunis, okay? Khan Yunis. Very important because here they kept most of the hostages, most of the war. Noah Gamani was rescued from here, right? From the central camps. There are like 3 camps outside of Khan Yunis, but it's Khan Yunis region. The main city, and this is Rafah, okay? Rafah is here, okay? This is Rafah. This is how Gaza looks like. How Hamas took out the most sophisticated army in the Middle East, one of the most sophisticated armies in the world. First, they planned it with Iran. I don't know if you guys know Farsi people. They're brilliant, right? Not all the Iranians hate us. I had very good Iranian friends when I worked in Africa. But they're very, very smart. And with those amazing brains, they planted. Okay, let's talk about what they did. מה? לא, זה אחלה, זה אחלה. All right. Give it again. Okay, good. There are two things that Hamas attacked. There's two things that Hamas attacked. One, they attacked the power multipliers that we have. And the second thing, they attacked the power centers of power. Okay? What is a power multiplier? Is something, let's say we have 50 soldiers and they have 50 soldiers, but we have a trick, something sophisticated, we'll win them anyway, right? What actually happened in October 7 is that we had here 500 soldiers. How many attackers? In the first hour, 1,500. Then another 1,500. And my guy Yuda, who fought in Be'eri, said that they're looters, simple people who just came to rape and take things from the houses, so not Hamas terrorists. They were civilians from Gaza, and with knives and guns. And they came. Eventually, people say the estimation is between 5,500 to 7,000 terrorists in one day, okay? And we were only 500. 1 to 10 is the minimum, right? 1 to 10 is the minimum estimation. And when we attack an enemy force, we do 1 to 3, right? They came 1 to 10. So this is one. And they took the power multipliers. What multipliers do we have in Gaza envelope? What tricks we have that they don't? Tell me, as an army. Air Force is one, easy, good. What else? Cameras, very good. Tanks, right? Tank is a multiplier, right? If I have 5 people in a tank, I can win 100. What else? The fence, the very sophisticated fence, right? What else? We have Iron Dome, right? We have this system that every time they shoot, we take it out. How do they took the power multipliers? Let me tell you this. The geniusy in simplicity. Listen to what I'm telling you. If they ever ask you how the idea fell, it's because we were so sophisticated and they were so simple. And that's exactly what all the terrorists in the world tried to do to the American army, the British army, and to us. Look what they did. How do you win a 3 billion shekel fence with bulldozers and simple charges that just came with many? It's called the power mass. They came in the beginning, Chaim Cohen, right, the commander of this area of North Gaza, he tells me, only in the first 30 minutes, they did two things. First, they opened 29 breaches in the wall, 79 in total in the whole fence. And the wall was prepared, the fence was prepared for deep digging. They just came and breached it with explosives and bulldozers. Very simple. What did they do with the Iron Dome? An Iron Dome battery has 24 missiles inside. In the first 30 minutes, Chaim says, it's the biggest or the largest rockets attack in the history of the world. That's what he says. He told me, about 5,000 rockets in 30 minutes. That they shot. And once all the Iron Dome batteries finished their missiles, that's it. And missiles fell, and soldiers who are in the bases here, okay, the Gaza command here, Nahal Oz here, Zikim here, everyone quickly ran to their shelters, and then the defense mechanism were not relevant, and when all the soldiers were under shelter, then they ran to the fence and breached 79, opened the gate and went inside. So this is one thing they did, right? Multipliers. What did they do with the Air Force? They came dressed like civilians, some of them. They came with civilian cars. An F-16, when he flies over this thing, he can recognize in the speed of 1,000 kilometers per hour who is who. Helicopters. So the tanks, what did they do with the tanks? They used to send into our bases. They send into our bases spies. Who are the spies? Bedouins or Arab Israelis who works in the base in logistics. And they made the map. You know that each terrorist almost had the precise map of their destination. They knew where the head commands, where the commanders sleep. They knew where the tanks are, and they cut all the wires with simple gardening tools. If you cut the inside Merkava, you cut all the electricity, that's it. Right? You don't have to burn it or blow it up. But sometimes they succeeded more. Centers, and this is where I finish with the details. Power centers. What are the centers of power that we have? Try to assume what are the centers of power around Gaza?
Solar.
What?
Solar.
Solar? What is solar? Solar. No, I'm not talking about electricity. I'm talking about power as a military power. We have the head commands. They attacked the girls in the watch rooms with the radios. They were burnt with the radios in the hand. We have all the cameras. right? They took them down with simple drones that they took from Ukraine, right? The idea from Ukraine to drop RPGs. They attacked the commanders. Chaim Cohen said, in my bed there was burst of AK. They just came to the room and shot his bed. He was not in bed, thanks God. But they killed some other generals around here, brigadiers. And the most important thing, and I want you to remember this because this is one brilliant thing that happened there, and it could happen anywhere else in the world. The first most elite attackers of the Nukhba, once they crossed into Israel, where did they go? You know what is this here? Where did they go? Where did they go? No, the Nova was here. Yeah, true. This is the second wave. But the first wave, they sent specific. Some of them were sent by boats to Zikim. That's the SEALs, the Hamas SEALs. The Hamas sent his most elite Nukhba fighters in the beginning to the junctions, to the intersections here. Because they knew that Israel will send the reinforcements how? By cars. And all the SWAT, Sayeret Matkal, Shaldag, all those people smashed on those terrorists here. This is Yad Mordechai. This is Sha'ar HaNegev. Tzad. This is Tzomet Tzad, right here, right? All the special forces, including my unit, smashed on those junctions. And that stopped them. Nir Oz, right here, the last terrorist left 1:05. The first soldier entered 1:35. How? Why it took us so many hours to come to a place like Nir Oz? Because we were fighting on the junctions. And this was something brilliant. Why am I telling you this? Because we all in the West rely on our countries to help us. If anything happened, the FBI, the NYPD, everyone will help us, right? But a smart attack, if they really want to do a massacre like they did to us and probably planning on other European cities and northern cities in America, will start by taking the junctions, taking the route of access. That's what they did. And that they will do it again because it's so simple. You just need 5 terrorists with an AK to stop a platoon from the SWAT here. Here, maybe 20 terrorists on bikes stopped about 50 soldiers from rushing here and save those guys in Be'eri. That's why we failed. We have many excuses, technical excuses that were smart, but eventually we failed, right? That's it. Here is where I finish with the dry details, but I wanted you to understand how the strongest army in the Middle East failed for the lowest level of terrorists we had around us. They were smart, they took a lot of drugs, they kept a gun, they were motivated, and they planned it well for many years and brainwashed. And then the massacre happened. And you guys know what happened in the Nova and the rest of the places. That's October 7th. There is one thing that they could never imagine, and this is where I go to our story, back to my story. There is one thing, and I want you to remember this, Jews, because this is our secret, that they could never imagine, because in their radical minds, they don't have it. What saved the day? I'm telling you that we found here, in this road, we found terrorists that have bags with towels and flip-flops and toothbrushes, and they said, we thought we were going to stay for a week. Their assumption was that they're going to win because they won us very quickly, all the Gaza forces, and they're going to stay at least for a week taking Kiryat Gat, Ashkelon, Ashdod, it's those cities around Gaza. They couldn't imagine or plan one thing that happened. What saved the day? What saved the day on October 7th? Tell me, you guys. What? Citizens. 10,000 people. Okay, so the attack began 6:29, 7 o'clock, half an hour after, 10,000 people like me left their homes and drove to Gaza. They could never imagine this. Those guys, that are my guys. Here is Nader again, the machine gunner. This guy from Akko. This guy is a farmer in the Arava next to Eilat. This guy do security. This guy is a music player and an educator. He is religious. He is Druze. He's Ashkenazi farmer. We dropped everything and drove south. 10,000 people. What broke us was when we were divided. What saved the day was unity. And I want you to remember this. Because if we were not united like they thought we are, we will not be here. Unity and Hezbollah and Iran, they all looked. Everybody looked. Our enemies, Egypt, everybody looked. What happened with the Jews? After 1 hour, the whole world understood that crazy people like us leave everything and drive. And that's what saved the day. And this is what I wanted to tell you. If anything happens to us around the world, what will save us is first we have to be united. And we have always disputes, two Jews, five opinions. No, you have to be united. And if not, disaster. And it's not a phrase, I saw it. I saw it with my own eyes. Let's go. Just one back, just go back because I want to tell you one story before that, okay? Look, now I want to tell you some personal story that I have. In October 7th, I was driving a Humvee with this guy, and I'm the commander, the 9-seater Humvee, I'm sitting above. I'm the commander's seat is high. And since that happened, I could see down all the cars. And I was driving those roads here around Gaza. The road is here, right? This is the police station is here. This is the road. And I was driving all those roads with my guys. And I've seen hundreds of cars burnt. Because I sit high, I saw all the kids in the back seats. I have daughters. Back then they're 3 years old, now they're 5. And I have baby seat in my car. And every time we drive with a Humvee and we're zigzagging between cars, hundreds of them, we see the families burnt in their cars. I've seen children my daughter's age in their seats. Most people tell you stories about October 7th and you try to imagine. I saw it. It's burned my soul. I will never forget it. One of the guys who sat next to me in the Humvee, I don't put his photo in purpose, he never came back from there mentally. A week after, he literally shit his pants. In the middle of the day, in the middle of the base, we had to change his pants, take him in the shower, and send him home. And he just came back 2 weeks ago to say, thank you, Ravid, that you didn't make me stay, because I couldn't take it. What I've seen, he has kids too. He has like 5 kids. And so what I've seen that day, I couldn't take it. I've seen that. I want to tell you that we talked about the Holocaust before. This evil, they lined up people next to their car, families, you see, father, mother, kids, and they shot them, and then they burned them with gasoline. I've seen that. Not once. You think of a terror attack like, and all the people now who shout Free Palestine, they think about October 7th, yeah, there was a terror attack, and then Israel did all that. They don't understand how big, how crazy is what we've seen. The evil is unbearable. And every time they try to give excuses, Free Palestine, freedom, this, that. Yes, for your freedom, you would like this to happen? In the Nova Festival, when they raped this girl with a black shirt, your freedom worth this? In Kfar Aza, when a paramedic goes into a house and they see a 12 years old and a 14 years old girls without shirts, with sperm on their back, a bullet in their head. That's your freedom? It's worth it? Let's say you're right. Let's say Palestine should be free. In that price, in that cost? When they took them 3 weeks to understand why there is a weird thing in an oven, they understand eventually it's a baby. That's your freedom? I saw it. I'm not telling you stories like I haven't seen. I was in the Kfar Aza houses. I was in Sderot. I've seen with what joy mutilated bodies. That's my October 7th. And every time I forget, every time I'm tired, every time I think maybe I did enough, I go back to one of those evidence, one of those films, movies. And now I'm going back. That's our first mission, but 2 weeks it took us to go into Gaza. 3 weeks, actually, between October 7th and 27th. And then I was there full time. I recruited people from all over the world who came to help us. Jews that were far away, Israelis that served. And I came back home for 1 hour, maybe 2 hours, for my wife to see my daughters, because I thought maybe I'm not coming back. And I was sitting with my wife after we put our daughters to sleep, and I told them Abba is going to war. And I already heard from my wife how they play with the dolls. And they say, this is Abba. Maybe he's dead, maybe he's not. Because they heard about so many dead people. With friends in the kindergarten that tried to go back. Putting them to sleep, I went out with my wife. My car is ready to go, back to the base. And this is a moment from my life. I'm sitting with a glass of wine outside of my house with my wife, and I'm telling her, Adi, be ready to raise the girls by yourself. I'm not going to do anything I can to come back alive this time. And she looks at me and says, like, what? Why do you say so? And I told her, and I'm telling you, after what I've seen on October 7th, after what I've seen in those roads, I'm not going to do anything I can just to come back alive. I'm ready this time to go all the way. Now, I'm telling you, usually when we do special operations in the West Bank or Lebanon, if there's a high risk, we say, maybe I'll come another day. You know, the terrorists are there. If there's a high risk to die, maybe I'll come another day. After October 7th, sitting with my wife, I told her, Mommy, how's that in Hebrew? Be ready to raise the girls by yourself. That's it. And she cried, and I cried, and I told her that's it, and I went. And I came back to my unit, and I told my guys, who came back from their 3 hours of vacation, we gathered them, I gave them the order to go into Gaza. We knew the date and the hour, it was top secret. And I told them, I will do anything I can in order to go to bring you back home. He's a lone son, right? His mother has only him. And his mother called me and says, Ravid, make my son come back alive. I said, I do it whatever I can. And I told them I would do anything I can to bring you back, but I'm not going to do anything for myself. Because after what I've seen, the evil, the deep evil that I haven't seen since stories I heard about the Holocaust, this time we go all the way. And if you ask me why we stay there in the army after 2 years in reserve, it's because of this promise. And why Gaza looked like a bunch of, broken rebels is because of this. Because we can't live with this evil exist next to our homes. We can't. And the world can't afford it. We can't have it. If this evil will just exist after the war ends, every stupid terrorist in the world, a radical Muslim that thinks to do anything violent will say, it's doable. We can do it and survive. And I always tell myself, what happened if I have a gun, go back to the 40s in Auschwitz? What happened if you, each one of you, had an ability to fight a little bit, maybe with just a pistol or something, against the Nazis next to the gas chambers in Auschwitz? You won't do it? 100 times I will go there and do it again. Gaza war is against the deepest evil I've ever seen in my life, and I've been to many countries. I trained people in Africa. I was in the war in Ukraine. Me and Paula here, we flew to help the Ukrainians right when the war began. I trained people there how to fight. I've seen evil things. But this thing I've never seen. And I want you to remember this. Every time someone starts arguing with you about the war, remember this. Let's go. What we wanted to achieve in the war, 3 goals, and according to those goals, we fought the whole time. Eliminate Hamas, return the hostages. That's order. Everybody in Israel thought in Tel Aviv, they said they did it the opposite, right? But here we knew. Eliminate Hamas, return the hostages, and make this short, the next day. We don't want Hamas to exist after the war ends, right? And how it's related to what we do, we'll talk about in a minute. That's one of the first operations. That's again, that's Nader and me and Neumann, 3 other fighters. We are here in one of the most delicate places. This is a school in the middle of Gaza. It's like a high school in the middle of Gaza City. It's after we took Jabalia. This is what we found there. See this flag? This flag we found in a high school, okay? In the middle of Gaza, this flag. It's the flag of El Qassam, the battalions, the attacking battalions of Hamas, you see? Every school, every hospital, every kindergarten, everywhere they have those. And what else they have? Mein Kampf, translated to Arabic. The Protocols of Zion, remember this Nazi book? And of course, a bunch of weapons and explosives. But we try to understand how comes there's so much evil in Gaza. You know what? Talking about the Holocaust, 1 to 10,000 people in Germany and Poland were righteous among nations. You know, you ever been to Yad Vashem? Yad Vashem, you've been, right? What's the first thing you see when you go to Yad Vashem? The first thing you see, you see the trees. And next to each tree, there is a name, a righteous among nations, to tell you, human being, that there is hope. That in the ocean of evil, there are several hundred, several thousand people who risk their life to save Jews. Where are they in Gaza? I'm trying to understand, because I investigated, I learned terrorism worldwide. Where are they? 2 million people. No one spared a hostage. No one said maybe not. We know intelligence, so that's intelligence that we know, that Hamas leaders' wives encourage them to rape our girls. Why? He's your husband. To humiliate. How this evil can exist? And this is the answer, because since kindergarten, the Nazis, they were never born Nazis, right? The Nazis in Germany were born as the liberals, right? Western liberals. So some of them had still those noble ideas in their mind. In Gaza, since 2004, when we left Gaza, 5, this is what everybody grew up on. That's it. Hatred. Right? Later on, you will help me with the translation. Ronis, she speaks a bit Arabic.
He's better.
תגידי מה שאמרת. Right? She'll say later.
He will judge me in Arabic.
It's not funny. Everywhere, right? The Holy Triangle. Kindergarten, school, hospital. This is where they keep all that. I couldn't bring an RPG to here, right? But this was found just by a bunch of RPGs and grenades in Gaza in a school, right? This photo is in a high school. Let's go. עובד? כן. Tunnels. What was their goal? We said before, the goals of Hamas, they wanted time. How do you get time? Hostages and tunnels. How many tunnels? We're talking about 1,000 kilometers of tunnels in Gaza, about 1,000. We, until now, destroyed about 600 kilometers. We have a lot more to do. This is the first time I went into a tunnel. It's very scary. Why? Because in the outdoors, if a grenade goes off next to you, you can take a shelter. In a tunnel, 100 meters away, if there's a grenade or shot, that's it, you're done. Asher here is a tunnel expert. Asher Katz. He's a tunnel expert who will tell you later about it. His job today is to eliminate those tunnels in very sophisticated ways. 1,000 kilometers of tunnels. And we were fighting in those tunnels for a long, long time. That's a school. I won't go deep into details. It's a very cute school and kindergarten, 6th grade in Gaza. You see all the beautiful paintings on the wall, teddy bears, ABC in England in different colors, and this, right? Grenades, those are shawaz, it's 20 kilograms explosive devices, RPGs, those are I just took a quick photo because I was in the middle of searching the school, but this is classic, right? This is us in Jabalia. We're talking about this area in Gaza. We're drilling down to the center of Gaza, and as we did this, right, we went to here. This is the school, and this is the hospital, Rantisi. Yeah, we'll talk about all of them after. Let's go. Classic operations in Gaza, day and night. Few soldiers searching huge houses. That's me and 5 other people that search huge houses. Offensive is Yehuda Vach, one of the best commanders in the IDF. This guy told me one of the most important lessons in the war. Most of our operations until then was mostly defensive. We took, like we did in Rantisi, we took elite commanders to the battlefield. Then my guys, Nader and his guys, told me, Ravid, we want to start do offensive missions. So I went to him, he's a brigadier, and I told him, Yehuda, what do you think? Can we go and do some active missions with you? And he said, yeah, I guess we can. I said, how many people can I bring? 2, 3? And he told me this, in war, there is plenty of room in the front. And as far as you go, there is more and more room. Many people like to say about themselves they're cool, right? How many people you know that say, like, hey, I do Krav Maga, I use weapons, shoot in the shooting range, tattoos? How many of them are fighters? We have so many people that are thinking that they can fight. And Yehuda Vach told me, there's plenty of room in the front. Bring how many people you want of it. And then I started sending people front. I was one of them. Nader had hundreds of stories in the front of the fighting. And then you have this. Families, Palestinian families. This is here. This is not far from Bet Hanun. Bet Hanun is the last neighborhood that was blown up. And we see those civilians walking to the south. We, in some point, opened for them safe corridors, and they went south in those safe corridors. Very sad. If you ask me, people, what is the saddest thing in the war is to see what happens to civilians. War is never a fun thing, you know? I visited in the war. We came to America for a couple of days. We went to Texas. People in Texas say, yeah, war, let's go. People are so happy about it, you know, American Texas. I remember here on the coastline, when this photo was taken, a very old Palestinian lady walking on the coastline. And she was so old, she has to use a, how do you call it, like a walker, right? And it's a deep sand. And we told them they all have to go to Khan Yunis. This is about, it's like 12 kilometers walk. She can barely walk 5 meters. And it's sad. You see her struggling to walk south. This is sad. Right? What our enemies do, the Free Palestine people do, they take fragments, like pieces of truth, and they build huge lies on it. It's true. It's sad. To see whole families going south, I won't lie to you. It's sad. And if you have a family, if you have kids, you can't. We gave them food. I was part of those missions to send soldiers inside to feed them. Paula saw this when she came to visit, the number of trucks. This lady, you know what happened to her? I suddenly see a Merkava Type 4, a big tank, driving, stopping next to her. And the commander took her in and took her 8 kilometers of the road. Just drove her all the way to the end of his section, drop her and came back. Why? Because he can't see it. It's our enemy. Look what they did to us on October 7th, but a lady is a lady. And this is something you all have to understand. Every time they accuse us to massacre, to starve them, think about us. Think about yourself, because we and you are the same. Could you shoot a baby? We're probably the worst massacre nation in the world if this is what happens in Gaza. We worked hard to save those people. I'm telling you. I risked my soldier's life several times under sniper shots to save them. That's one of my guys, Jared, from Australia. He's a lone soldier. See him with the axe. He's because he's Australian from the woods in Australia. He's like, he never used the axe though. But he was with him the whole time. He came when he was not recruited. He said, I'm coming. I told him, look, you cannot sleep in an army base if you're not recruited yet. We need bureaucracy to find you. He said, I don't care. He brought his sleeping bag, sleep outside. And he said, when you have time, bring me in. 5 days after, we took him in, and he went with me into Gaza. One of the strongest soldiers I ever had. That's us in Jabalia, classic night in the middle of the war. This is where the momentum started changing. Namshich. Deu, tshari po. Now this is one of my biggest understandings. How are we? We're good? We're okay with the stories? I don't want to go too much, right? Okay, good. Look, one of the strongest moment I had in Gaza is this. Friday afternoon, this is a team, this is Nino, one of the guys, Nadav from Duvdevan, this guy, you know Duvdevan Special Forces? And we are working with Yudavach, this crazy, there's plenty room in the front guy that likes just to go and burn and destroy and kill and this, and we're fighting in Gaza. And after we finished searching this house, he said, Ravid, your team is really good. Let's go search this house. There's terrorists inside. The intelligence tells us that this is building, maybe 8 stories building has terrorists inside. We don't know which floor. We don't know where they hide the weapons and where they are, but let's search it. And there's a procedure. Nadav, he's the commander in charge. I'm above him, but he's like the tactical commander of this mission. He says, Ravid, blow up the door. I go with another soldier. I put explosives on the door. Go back, boom, explosion. He goes first with another 2, and we go quickly to the basement. And quietly we go down. We see the door is locked. Suddenly we hear voices from behind us, from inside the door. Nadav quickly turns and shoots into the door, 5 bullets, like he's supposed to. And suddenly we hear screams, and we hear it's children. And I'm looking on Nadav, and I'm telling him, oh my God, what did you do? What have you done? He's like, that's what we do. You know, we heard voices. There could be terrorists. It's a terrorist building. We do. And I told him, please, Nadav, please, God, that you didn't shoot a child. Why? Because for us, and this is something you all have to understand, if you shot a child in Gaza, you stop everything, you bring a paramedic, and you take care of him. Why? Because again, think about yourself. Could you see a bleeding child and just pass him? I have daughters at home. I can't just ignore, right? And I'm calling the paramedic in the radio, and Nadav is knocking the door, blowing it away, and he goes inside. We see a family. Thanks God, the bullets of Nadav hit between a mother and a child. Didn't hit them. And I was like, Toda. Thanks God. Nadav, next time, I told him, next time, try to listen to the voices. Maybe it's not a... Think about it, right? Let's say we don't care. You can't imagine how is to fight when you have children and the terrorists know it and they hide behind them. And now look what's going on. We take the family's phones, okay? And we're looking in their phones and we see authentic photos from October 7th. That means that this family has some of the members of the family, the WhatsApp group of the family, took photos and videos, raping, killing, burning in the kibbutzim, and send it in the family group. And we see in all the family phones the same photos in the group. We said, okay, that's it. That's a bingo. The terrorists are here. Now we just need to understand which floor. So how do we do it so they won't cover each other? We separate them. We take each member to a different room, and then comes quick an interrogator, a Bedouin guy that fights with us, and he asks them the same questions, and then we cross it and we see where the terrorists are. So I'm taking a girl, she's maybe 12 years old. I'm taking her to the second floor. The father is going to the first floor, the mother going to a different room. And me and two other guys take this 12 years old girl, put her on a bed in a dark room, and we start talking in the radio. I'm telling this guy, Khaled, the interrogator, come to the second floor. And those two guys in their map trying to plan the next move. And suddenly I take my eyes from the radio and the map, it's like a phone map, and I see the girl is petrified. She's terrified. And I try to understand why. And I took this photo. A minute after Yuda, this brigadier, he came in and he said, bring the mother. They brought the mother after. But in the beginning, it was just me and the girl and two other soldiers. And I'm standing about this distance from her, right? This is where, like 1 meter away, right? And I'm trying to understand, why is she terrified? I'm not aiming the gun on her. I'm not shouting. I gave her water, and then I realized what she has in her phone. And she thinks to herself, like every other girl in the world, if you stay by yourself in a bedroom with 3 soldiers, what is your destiny? What's going to happen with you, right? It's going only to one direction, only to one future. And she knows what photos she has in her phone. She knows what her brothers and uncles and whatever did to us in October 7th. And she thinks, okay, it's time to revenge. And my guy Nader here tells me, half an hour ago, in the same time, he was fighting in the next house, or different house in Jabalia. And he came into a room, there was 2 men and 1 woman. And when the women saw him, she took off her clothes because she was sure that's it, that's revenge time. And they told her, what are you doing? Dress up. Our enemies can't understand. We never thought of doing stuff like that. Jews don't do it. You need to understand. Anywhere else in the world, yes. The Russians in Ukraine, they went to Kiev, didn't succeed, go to Bucha, raped 1,200 women in one day. You knew it? ISIS, fighting for the right cause, to make the world better under laws of Islam. So why do you sell Yazidi girls to each other in $20? You know that in some point of the war here in Rafah, we rescued a girl, she was 20 years old. She was brought into Gaza when she was 14 from Egypt in a tunnel as a sex slave of Hamas. Everybody else do it, we don't. The most stupid thing our soldiers did is dressing like women, you know? You saw those stupid videos? It's not good for us. Those stupid kids. But no one ever touched a girl. No one. And that's why this thing that happened in Sde Teman with the guys in Force 100, I don't know if you know about it. It's not good for us because it's not us. It's not what we're doing. But the Palestinians were sure that we're going to punish them in the same way they did to us. And this photo, this picture that I keep in my phone, always remind me what's the difference between us and them. We brought her mother, we gave them water, we took 2 steps aside, but this is one of the moments I will never forget from the war. And this is what we found in their house. That's the same house, right? Where did I find it? Out of this room, there's the children room. In the closet, look what we have here, RPGs, grenades. This is me, like 15 minutes after this thing with the girl, right? This, and they hide it in the children's room. This is how it is. This is the same day. This is how Gaza looks like in the war. Pshichi, pshichi. And this is it. Now I'm almost done. I have two and a half stories. You guys okay with me? Okay, we're fine? Okay. Again, this is stories that you don't see in the news. It's things that I've seen with my own eyes, and I'm telling you the reality from my perspective. What is this? Who knows?
It's a tunnel.
It's a tunnel. Yeah, it's a tunnel 25 meters deep. Now look what happened. And this is, again, Rafah. Look how Rafah look like. This is what happens when you mess with us today. This is the price they pay. It's unbelievable, and they were so happy. What we had in that day, very interesting, this guy here, is the head of the intelligence. He resigned a couple months ago, as now he's talking about the government, like everyone else, right? But he's very smart, and he came that day to Rafah to understand something very interesting. What is the connection, and this is something I need you to understand also if you talk about the war with anyone. What is the connection between Gaza and Egypt? Because Rafah is there, is in the south. This is where we went all the way to the south. We went into Rafah in the summer of 24. Our special forces, Yahalom, Diamond, started digging to find tunnels. How many tunnels we found connecting between Gaza and Egypt? How many tunnels we found?
100?
Who said 100?
Every meter.
No. I'll tell you what we did. Every 7 meters, we digged. Every 7 meters, we digged. How many tunnels we found connecting Gaza and Egypt? This is something you have to understand, because Egypt, every time there's negotiations, Egypt says Israel has to go out from Rafah. And there are people in the government, like Amichai Shikli, Smotrich, you know the names? They say if Israel will go out from Rafah, we will take the government off. Like the government will collapse. We'll go out from the government. Why? How many tunnels our special forces found in 11.5 kilometers Philadelphia course? How many? How many?
250.
202. Who said it? 202. And now, last month, I got an update because before I came here, I went to their unit. 272. Remember this number. 272 tunnels crossing into Rafah, into Egypt. And when you think of a tunnel, you probably think of Hamas tunnels, right? Let's see. This is a tunnel, you see? You see? A truck, not a car. A truck can go through it. I took this with my phone because I couldn't believe how big are the tunnels. Couldn't believe, right? This is a classic tunnel in Philadelphia, right? Let's go another one. You see? It's a whole company inside a tunnel and there's more room. Why it's important to understand? Why Egypt wants us to go out from here, knowing that we have 272 tunnels? Why they want us out from Gaza, from Philadelphia? Why? Why? They don't want Palestinians to go out of Gaza, right? They had, what?
It's a business.
Why it's a business?
Everybody makes money out of it from the smuggling.
Exactly.
Sinai, Bedouin.
Okay? You know it probably, you probably heard it before, but now I'm giving you the numbers. 272 tunnels. Why does a truck, okay? And Hamas knows that if he wants to rebuild its force again, it has to have these tunnels. And Egypt knows that thousands of soldiers and generals will get money thanks to this business that you just said exactly. And I took it. I remember that. And I told myself I would never forget. If we will again sleep, if we will again won't be sharp, that will take us. בוא נמשיך. נמשיך. Okay, this is Rafah crossing. Some of the trucks with the missiles will go from here too, with the high generals of the Hamas and the Egyptian army. בוא נמשיך. This is us going on the way to the beach in Rafah, means that we won most of it. תמשיכי. תמשיכי. Fighting in Rafah. This has become already a part of our lives. War. And that's me on the beach of Rafah. Very, very interesting time in the Rafah area. And then this. My daughter, Laila, again, now I'm speaking of the father, to see me play סרטון, is going to first grade. Right? She's 6 years old. She's going to first grade. Let's see if it works. Hope it will. That's my daughter. What is it saying?
It's like
It's
processing.
processing. Okay. Let me tell you something about my wife and the school of my daughters. My wife is a hippie. She's Indian music singer. She's left wing, very much opposite than me. I love her, and it was very hard for us to build this bridge over the two worlds. And we sent our daughters to anthroposophic school. You know what it means? The dolls have no faces. It's all about singing, you know. And we did this in the middle of a war. I came to this ceremony when they take the kids through the. תריץ את זה קדימה קצת. זה לא יכול להתאים קדימה? תעשי כזה למשוך. They took them through the flowers, you know. This is how they start the first day at school. And I'm standing there with my M4. And then, תריצי, בוא נמשיך הלאה. Okay. And then, my daughters came to visit me at the army. Yeah. I put them on the Humvee. That's my wife there in the back. She's not happy. She sees the girls on a military car. That's my first grade Laila and the twins. See them sit here. That's one of the niece. And life, family life, and military mix. And this is something very unique to Israel that you all have to understand. There's not even one conflict in the world where you could put your kids at school and then find yourself in a gunfight and come back. That's Israel. And this is something the American public can never understand because you always send soldiers overseas. And we send our people sometimes from the kindergarten to the war and come back. One of the last stories I want to tell you today is about one of those days. Because what happened to me then, it's here, it's in Rafah. It's Friday, one of the first time you have kids at school, you know, when your kid is young, 6 years old, you take him with the hand and put them in the school, right? You don't just let him go. You know, today she's 7 years old, she's opened the car, bye, Abba, and she goes, right? But when they're young, you take them by hand and put them at the school, right? That day, in summer of 2024, September, October, it's already October 24, she started first grade in September, and Thursday night, I get a phone call from the army. Tomorrow, the general of the South, the head command of the South, wants to go into Rafah because there is a serious fight. Givati Brigade is taking over the headquarters of Hamas here, that it's above what we call White Sparrow, Dror Lavan, is where they keep Hadar Golding and Yahya Sinwar. All the leaders of Hamas and hostages are hidden here. This is where we found also the 6 hostages that they released today, the video of Hanukkah. You saw that? It's crazy. So all those people, the hostages, and Yahya Sinwar and Hadar Golding is held here. And tomorrow, they told me on Thursday, the Givati Brigade is going to take over it. So we need you to bring in the general of the South Command at 10 o'clock. Okay, I'm starting to plan things, and I tell my soldiers, 9:30 on the border, sharp, and I'm bringing 2 Leopards and 2 tanks and air surveillance and all the platoon. And then my wife tells me, you take Laila to school tomorrow morning, you know that. Like, I'm in the phone with Shabak and some people, you know, all the special forces and the tanks unit operating now in operation for tomorrow. And she says, I don't care. You take her to school. That's your time, you know? That's Israel. And I was like, okay. And I'm looking on the map. It's about 2 hours and 10 minutes drive from Laila's school to Rafah. And I said, it's doable. If I'll drive fast enough. All right. And here is a story of a father, which is also a commander in this war. And try to understand what's going on. 8 o'clock sharp, I'm with my daughter at the school, taking her by hand very quickly to the door. Now there's four doors in the school, right? 4 doors, and she's in the last one. This is first grade and this is second grade. So we go through second grade, and all the kids now need to come back from the yard to the school. And in the anthroposophic school, how do they call them back from the yard? With flutes. So 4 teachers standing with flutes, playing, and I'm coming with uniform of combat, with a knee cap and the M4 with a suppressor and a pistol and a phone that keep ringing with the tanks unit and the Shabak and all those guys. And I'm walking down, rega, taking the girl quickly with a gun through all the kids, getting to the teacher, Tamar. It's like, Tamar, take her. I give it to her. And then I need to go back through all the kids because now my car is there, right? And I'm walking back, and the flute is crazy. There's one teacher there in the last door that she's so good with the flute that she puts them in order, and they go like and they stand in line. And if one kid is making problems, she's like, with the flute, she's like, and I'm crossing. Now again, have to move quick. The M4 is big, suppressor weapons, and I need to move between the kids, and the flute is chasing me, and I'm running between the kids, and I'm moving them nicely, not to touch them too much. I finish this Red Sea of kids, and I'm back in the car, and I'm driving like crazy. And in 9:35, I took out for the Waze 45 minutes. 9:35, I get here. I was late in 5 minutes. And 10 o'clock, I was here. This is me. I took this photo. This is a gunfight. This is the general of the Southern Command. This is the commander of Givati. This is the Division 162 commander. An hour and a half after the kindergarten, after the school, I'm there. תריצי עוד אחד? And this is what I see. בוא נראה אם הוידאו הזה יעבוד. בוא נראה, there's a video, I don't know if it works. I wish, because it's something you... זה קשה פה עם ה... אולי אין אינטרנט בכלל. There is a gunfight outside of the house where I am. And on the way, I had 2 leopards with my soldiers, right? It's about 15 soldiers. Leopard number 2 was stuck because of engine problem. One of the tanks stayed with it. 1 tank and 1 leopard, me and another guy, that's it. That's all those commanders had as protection team. And we had to protect them. There's what you don't see here, the video, maybe I'll show you after, is a serious gunfight in Rafah. There's machine guns, automatic weapons, terrorists are shooting, bulldozers, Air Force is striking. It's one of the last stories. I'm standing there and I see that, and the flute is in my mind. And orders in the radio shouting, the team that's stuck is trying to reach us because he knows that he can leave us alone. And I need to make sure someone is grabbing them to a safe spot. And those people are alive. And the flute. And the kids here. And I'm telling myself, sorry for the language, I'm telling you, this is fucked up. Sorry, but this is what I felt. This is fucked up. And I don't ever want to get used to it. That's what I told myself. As a father, as an Israeli, as a Jew, I never want to get used to it. We don't like war, seriously. We're very good at it, but we don't like it. This guy, he opened a horse ranch. He finds more joy with his horses than with his M4 and suppressor. I'm a father. I'm a very good commander too, but I'm a father. And I'm never going to want to get used to it. And every time you see brave soldiers with tattoos talking about how cool is war, remember us. We don't like it. We've seen that. We've seen death and destruction. This is fucked up. בוא נמשיך. That's our everyday. This guy didn't survive. Those things I remember too. I've seen so many special forces, 669 rescue unit, trying to take them. Some of them survived. This helicopter, there's the best pilots in the world. Less than 20 seconds, touch and go, in a war zone. This guy didn't survive. This is what happened to Bet Hanun just before we finished with all the north of Gaza. This is the last strike of Bet Hanun. Bet Hanun is where they shoot all the rockets from Gaza to Sderot, Tel Aviv, Ashkelon. This is the northeast. So all the rockets from here. In Bet Hanun, all the terrorists died. 6 last terrorists surrendered, and we took them alive. We have video of it. And this is what happened to the neighborhood. We can win and we can defeat our enemies, and Bet Hanun is the symbol to that. I took this photo with my phone. I drove my car. I had to pee. I stopped to pee, and I like peeing in beautiful places. I peed on a hill. When I finished peeing, I'm watching my phone just to see if someone, and then I take my eyes up and I see this, and I took it, one of the photos I want to remember from the war. This is power. And those people here remember the women of those commanders of Bet Hanun encouraged the men to rape the soldiers, the female soldiers. That what happened with this neighborhood eventually. This is a closing circle for me. Last story, and then I will let you tell your stories, Wani. You know this guy? This is Nader. People think he's very serious. Some of them say he's aggressive. He's the best soldier I have in my team, definitely. With all the operations that you've seen here, most of them he was in the front. Some operations I didn't take part in, he was leading them. And this is him in one of the last moments of the war. And one day, me and him, his first son was born in the middle of the war. He called him Negev. Negev is the desert, but it's also a machine gun. So he called his son after the machine gun that saved his life. One day, when we stand here on the coastline of Gaza, right here, we see a bunch of people trying to go south, Palestinians. And we see Hamas come and robbing them with knives. Why not with AKs? Because if we see guns, we kill them. And a bunch of people here, Nader was there with another guy. They scared Hamas off. Civilians that were taken, the whole world was taken from them. Their food, their clothes, everything. Hamas took everything from them. Are now trying to escape south on the line, on the coastline. And after Shabak inspect them here, they go south here, and we are standing here. Suddenly we see a woman. She's blue wear, and she has her child in her hands. And she's crying. And her whole world is this suitcase and the baby and this nylon bag. And my guys sees Nader stand there, and they're like, hey, Nader, make sure you don't. Everybody's worried. Some people say she can't cross. We are standing here with the commanders. She might be a threat. Maybe she has a bomb. Some people say, what does she want? Why is she walking her by herself? And I'm standing there and I see the situation. I'm the commander in charge. And suddenly I see Nader walking quickly, tell everybody, move aside. Move. And he moves everyone. He takes a bottle of water from one of the friends, give the lady, help her carry her things so we could fix one hand with the kid. She could fix because he was crying, and helped her for about 100 meters to carry his stuff. And then it ends. We all go back to our missions, and we're like, Nader, why did you do that? We didn't expect you to do. You're like the crazy Nader. Why do you do that? And he says, a child is a child. I can't see it and just ignore it. And then again, I think to myself, I wish the world would do. What I want to tell you is this. The reason we will win is because we fight, not because we hate them. We fight because we love the people at home. When Jews are fighting for the right reasons, things like that happened. We will never kill the child on purpose. Some stupid friend of mine from Germany told me, how comes there's 15,000 kids died in Gaza? That's true. 15,000 kids died in Gaza. This is a true fact. And I told her, because they hide behind their kids. Many times I've seen terrorists holding kids, running in the streets, making their meetings under kindergartens, inside schools. I can explain a lot about it. And then she said, so why 80% of the kids in Gaza who died have bullets in their heads? That's bullshit, right? But if you take a piece of the truth, then you tell it. And then you think about my most aggressive soldier in the team that would risk his life and get next to a woman just to give her water. And how many times have I seen that in my life? When you fight for the right cause, you will win. Because we fight because we love, not because we hate. And we should never forget it. We should really work hard on ourselves to do that. What we learned from the war, anti-Semitism and evil alive, exist and well. You should remember it. Don't judge our enemies by your Western eyes. It exists, and I've seen it. 2, if you fight for love, you win. If you fight for hate like they do, they can never imagine things like a sacrifice. like real sacrifice, not jihadi sacrifice, people that we're willing to leave everything to save someone. We are even willing to sacrifice our own life to save them. You need to strengthen Israel in the West. Israel is the core of the Jewish nation. If this country is strong, the Jewish world is strong. If this country is weak, anti-Semitism rise. You need to strengthen Israel. How, by the way? We have many post-traumatic now. We have many families that broken, people that divorced, kids that didn't see their fathers. We have many people in hospitals, many people handicaps. We have post-traumatic people all over the country. If you can help us with that, that would be great. Strengthen Israel. And, like you always do, support, come, talk, be part. And the West, you guys, Europe, the same side of the world. And we need to get stronger. That's our project, JR. We're talking about Jewish resilience. If Jews will be weak, they will take us. They're waiting for us to be weak. Their evil eyes warming in the streets, waiting for us to be weak. Get stronger, train, be proud. Here, Joe just went in. Joe, I want to tell you about. Yes, I know. Look, Joe is one of the strongest people I know. And Joe is an example. Just want to say. Because Joe is training himself and other Jews in Krav Maga, in shooting, in security. He don't let someone else do it. Yes, he works with the armed forces here, with the FBI, with the NYPD. But Joe is the kind of Jew that will work hard to be strong. And if you look at his eyes, you don't want to mess with him. And that's strength. Jews should be strong physically, financially. Should be strong morally. We don't fight because we hate someone. We spare a kid. We all have to be strong. And if we all be strong, and if we will keep fighting for the right cause, for love, we will win. That's my last mission in Gaza. A month ago, a birthday party for another brigadier, and I take this photo with me everywhere. That's my last mission. The last day I was fighting in Gaza, I took balloons to celebrate someone's birthday. That's what I want to remember. Thank you so much, guys, for this. Really, a lot of appreciation.